Meeting to order. Dr. Deegan, the pledge. We don't have any guests.
Nope, no guests, but we do have a young man from Pioneer Park. Jacob Foyslin is going to lead us in the pledge.
Okay, Jacob.
Attention, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jacob.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes, here.
Ms. Nyworth?
Here.
Mr. Sherem? Dr. Bridges?
Here.
Mr. Jester?
Here.
Colonel Curtis?
Any special guests?
We have no special guests this evening.
Okay. Departmental reports.
Under departmental reports, we have item 5A, Business Service and Educational Services update, the printed items. If the board doesn't have any questions over those, I'll move on and pass it off to Mr. Kyle Smith and Trey Cook with the Lawton Area Transit System update.
Okay.
Now, this is an information item to fill us in on some of the questions asked at the last board meeting for the LATS proposal, which is in the consent agenda.
Right.
Good evening. After last time we spoke in May, LATS gathered some information on ridership, and we were asked to come back and kind of show you some of the information we gathered because we didn't have all the ridership for May, and we have the ridership through the middle of June at this time to show you. We've put this together in a PowerPoint. As you can see, last time we spoke, we were about 4,100 a month ridership for the months of January through May for school. Of course, we don't have all the ridership numbers for June at this time, but about halfway through the month, we're at 1,300 ridership at this particular time. Of course, we did have an increase of ridership from January to February. March, which was, kind of peculiar, had a week off of school, but that was one of our highest totals for ridership. If we continued, for February, March, 3 highest months, and we're able to sustain that, we'd be in the 50,000 range. 4,000 ridership times 6 months, that would take us into 24,000, and then if we continued that into next semester, we could end up 48 to 50,000 in ridership at this time. It's kind of hard to predict. We do know that it's a great program. The kids that are using it are getting a great use out of it for after school, that kind of thing. We have some benefits that we've seen for LPS. Those benefits include the gateway buses that we were able to eliminate from those routes. There were 6 buses in total. Roughly 80 to 100 kids attend gateway at any one time. If we average the savings for those drivers and the fuel cost, it's saving us about $15,000 for that semester in cost to the district for that particular program.
That's per semester or per year?
That's per semester.
Per semester,
yes.
Okay.
I believe that's correct. Is that not right? Our 15,000 number was for this semester of the pilot program, what we saved on gateway riderships? Yes. Okay. We've also seen some improvement with 8-hour busing. We have after school for high school in particular, where they stay to get help after 7th hour, which is their last regular period to stay and get help 8th hour. We had some overcrowding on the east side of town. MacArthur Middle School buses would take the carryover from high school students that stayed 8th hour, and sometimes we did have some buses that were completely full. Now high school students that stay after school ride the last bus home, and so we don't have the overcrowding. In particular, Mac Middle was one of those areas where we had some overcrowding because of high school students getting on those buses after school was out. Of course, other benefits that we see, students having the ability to stay for extracurricular activities, sports, Middle school kids oftentimes don't have rides home. We've seen some ridership numbers in that area. We've seen the high school kids that participate in sports, extracurricular activities, whether it be band, vocal music, any type of drama programs, plays that are put on that way. Those students have the ability to participate and have a ride home as well. If we start putting the numbers together about how many students that we have and staff in the district, we roughly have 15,000 staff and students. Those students having the ability to ride the bus. A LATS pass for the entire school year costs $60. And if we multiplied that times 15,000, that's roughly $900,000 of services that we'd be getting if we figured the numbers in that direction in that way. So we do see some great benefits and some money savings in doing this. We are working with the transition program at Eisenhower High School to try to get some of their students riding the LATS bus. We hope that at some point we will get more and more of those students accustomed to riding the LATS bus, and we'll see some benefits in that area as well. Some of the things that we've done, of course, it was a pilot program from January through the end of this month, June. And we've had some promotional programs that have gone on with LATS and LPS. Ryan Landers and his LATS staff have gone to the schools, have spoken to some of the students in assemblies, has spoken to staff at our secondary schools. We've seen TV and newspaper articles about LATS ridership when we started this program in the winter months, January, February. We had some promotions or some newspaper articles that ran at that time talking about the program and how kids could ride the bus. LPS has promoted the program through social media, our Facebook, Twitter accounts. LPS website has all put that information out. We've also ran a informational program on LPS TV about the benefits of the LATS program during the spring semester to try to get kids acquainted with the LATS program. For the next school year, for 2017-18, we will continue all the above that we did for the pilot program, but we'll also look at being able to start from the beginning of the school year, getting the kids acquainted to riding the bus. Again, Ryan and his staff plan on being at our enrollments, our back-to-school times when students come up to school to hand out flyers, hand out maps, discuss with kids at that time about riding the LATS buses. LATS, they also will, again, attend the schools and get meetings set up with staff and students at the beginning of the school year, August, September, sometime in that time frame, and speak to the kids about, how to get on the bus, how it works, the ridership, as far as the routes that are run, how to get from one part of the town to the next. So they will definitely spend some time in our schools doing that. We plan on the LPS showing some informational videos as well as some training videos on actually how to get on the bus, how to ride the bus, what directions the different colors are going on the routes. We'll run that on our LPS TV. We'll also look at putting out some surveys this fall on students, what their needs are, how they consider riding the LATS bus a benefit to them, what are some things that they see that might be helpful to us in promoting the program and helping them to be able to participate in after-school activities or activities that they normally wouldn't ride the regular school bus with. And of course, we'll also provide regular updates throughout the school year on our LPS media, TV, Facebook, Twitter, LPS website. I know the city also has, LATS also has social media that they would help promote this as well. And so I think we will see our ridership numbers steadily increase as we go through the program. And of course in Lawton it is a big benefit because a lot of our students don't have rides to get them to and from school. We don't have the parental involvement as far as, everybody having a car, being able to get their kids to and from after-school activities, that kind of thing. It's been a benefit, I think, in our attendance because students that miss the bus, if we sleep in, having been a high school principal, for high school students, first hour is hard to make sometimes for those students. And so if they don't have a ride to school and they miss that bus at 7 o'clock in the morning, unless they walk, a lot of them didn't have a ride. And so we can get those students that may miss for whatever reason to school, and that will definitely help their attendance on that. Any questions that I can answer?
What are their hours of operation? When do you stop in the evenings?
Ryan?
Monday through Friday, it's 6 to 7, and Saturday, it's 9 to 9, but we might be changing Saturday's hours.
Yeah, I saw that in the paper, but like on football games, they couldn't use it to go to a football game then. They could get there, but they couldn't get home.
Yeah, getting home would be.
And basketball.
Yeah, they'd be past their time.
What was our final number that we said rode the bus this year?
The final number was 21,729.
And that was for 5 months.
That was for for the middle of
February.
June, from January through the middle of June.
From January to the middle of June?
Yes.
Okay, so
February.
it's almost 6 months. And it's $1 to ride it for each one. I just have a hard time with we're almost 13,000 more that we gave them.
No, the 21,000 are actual riders. this
Actual
last
riders,
semester.
that's
But we're
right.
having to go by tally.
And then we save 15,000 in other expenses, so that averages up to over the
What other
35 for the
expenses?
semester. In the,
It's just about average.
To Gateway.
Yeah,
Gateway.
Gateway students, we've roughly saved 8 buses from Gateway transporting those students, because they have to go all across town. They don't just go, some of them to the west side, or all of them to the west side. So we have to put a lot of buses in the transportation of Gateway students to get them to and from home if we didn't have the LATS program to rely on.
Well, where are we getting that 15,000? We're just coming up with that
Drivers
figure.
and buses.
I mean, but where's the figures?
The figures for the 15,000 would be 8 bus drivers, what they get paid for that semester, and the fuel cost that we would incur with
And
with
I mean,
8 buses that transport those students.
And again, is that annually or by semester?
That is by semester, yes.
Okay.
So that'd
So
be
it's
30,000,
30,000.
over 30,000 for the school year.
Okay.
At present numbers, and we anticipate those numbers increasing quite a bit when we can start this program from day one with promoting it when school starts and students getting involved. A lot of times we see that students that got into riding the last bus the fall semester, programs had already started, they'd already been, you'd had to participate from December, from October, November to be involved in some of those things, basketball being one of them that, runs into February, and if they weren't out there in October for the basketball team because they couldn't have a ride, then they didn't get to participate in those type of extracurricular activities.
Well, again, my concerns are the fact that we're having to just do a tally system. So we don't actually know our true number because there's no scanning or anything like that. So that's a concern for me. When we're saying 8 bus drivers, and so I'd rather have had that in writing where we actually had it broke down and showed us, what those would have saved us on that instead of just kind of.
Well, I mean,
saying.
Mr. Cook put those numbers together for 8 bus drivers, what their actual salary.
And we have that in writing?
what we
I
paid.
haven't seen it.
It was on the last,
Right.
well,
You have it?
Yeah, we
Okay.
can
I
get it
think it
in
was on
writing.
the last presentation.
Yeah, he can get that in writing about what we pay those 8 bus drivers, what fuel
Breakdown, is
costs.
that what you want?
Yeah, I'll break down.
What fuel costs
I
are
think
for
it's
each one of those
Yeah.
particular
I mean,
things.
And my only concern is that I think it's a great program, but my only concern is that, we have taken almost $3 million in cuts again this year, trying to save every dollar we can. I don't want to be frivolous. I want to make sure that we're spending our money wisely. And that's my concern.
And I think we are spending our money wisely, and I think we do see the benefit to our kids that are in the lower socioeconomic group that don't have access to rides to and from events at school. You know, the benefit there is kind of unmeasurable because we're allowing those kids to be able to participate in those things. But we also see the benefit for kids that have jobs that they're participating in this summer, that this gets them to and from their job. Those particular things that high school students at this age are concerned with, getting a job, raising money, trying to plan for college, those particular things. And so I do think that we see the benefits there, and sometimes some of that is unmeasurable. But, you know, I definitely understand your concern about, you know, actual prices or actual dollar amounts. And Mr. Cook has put pencil to paper, 8 bus drivers, what they cost, how much the fuel costs are for each one of those buses. And that is a hard number that he's put together.
Do we have a way to identify when we opened it up to staff, how many utilized it?
Yeah, we did open it up to staff, and ridership numbers, you know, they were, the last, part of May, I believe, if that's not correct, Ryan?
About 3 weeks.
About 3 weeks.
And so we had ridership about 200 staff members that were riding, I think it's a little over 200, 210, somewhere in that range, that rode the bus in those 3-week period that we tallied that LATS tallied that.
Okay, I know we're setting this up for a whole year. Is there any way just to do it for one more semester to get another, just a feel for how it's going to work with all the new stuff? We're going to try and make sure the trend is going to continue up.
Definitely can. I mean, I've spoken to Ryan about this already, knowing that there might be some concerns about, you know, piloting it in January to May, and we could, if that's the direction you want to go, you know, we could definitely work that out to where we could go from July through December and bring you back more numbers.
Would you like, I just would feel a little bit better if we did it for just beginning of the year, a little bit longer, just to make sure that, I mean, $70,000 is a lot of money at one time. We just, I'm not saying we won't do it. I do think it's a great program. I just want to make sure that we're getting everything we need.
I mean, I would be fine with that.
Contract, yeah.
Now, contract in the agenda reflects a full year.
Contract in the agenda reflects a full year, and I think after speaking to Ryan that, you know, if you approve tonight or you give us kind of the go-ahead that we're going to do a semester from July through December, he will go ahead and we'll come back with you with another MOU for 6 months for the fall semester. Ryan has agreed in principle to go ahead and let our students ride July 1, even though our contract runs out the end of this week. If you give him the understanding that you're committed to doing another semester.
We can amend it.
We'll have to pull it.
I'm not sure without a contract in place, students can ride on July 1st.
Oh, without any contract?
Yeah, because of the liability.
We could modify the existing proposal by interlineation and change it. Well, we can say it's amended.
Amended, writing the changes.
How about we look at, let me think about this. Go to is that the right page? Go to the one, that one. Yes. If they take the 3 highest months and extrapolate them out over a whole year, that's 54,000, which is almost the 70. And if we take the 15,000 savings per semester from the 8-hour busing, and that's that pays for almost half of each semester, the 15,000. 54,000 based on the first 6 months, and as it says right there, just limited promotion. It's pretty darn good for the first 6 months. And saving that much in addition to paying, so the actual cost, if we base it on those 3 average middle months there, 54,000 is pretty darn close to the 70, and we didn't get quite as much as we thought we did.
You know, and it's still just a hand tally, though. I mean, that's what concerns me the most.
Well, those numbers are actual LATS numbers.
Yeah.
I know, but they're only hand tallying. They're just hashtagging.
Yeah.
You know, so, you know.
Is there ever going to be a way that they scan the badges?
It would be a huge cost.
Okay.
Yeah, that gets that equipment.
So that's all we're ever going to get, is it?
For a year.
I'm very confident with the 54,000 as a base number. It'll grow. I think they've got a good plan to increase awareness,
promotion.
You know, you don't want to promote a pilot too much, because if it goes away, then you've got a bigger problem. But my concern right now is on July 1st. And if we don't vote for it, if we don't approve it, they'll have at least a 20-day gap between riders this summer, where students won't be able to ride. That's just the reality.
Still not
Chuck
convinced.
said you could amend it.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have another party that would have to, we have the oversight board, we have the council,
Yeah, that's right.
and RATS has a management body over
Well,
there.
the monkey be on there back there.
The city council is over the last, actions, the act of the board over the last few, yes.
So I hate to pull in Mr., because I didn't prepare him for this, but would we be able to modify this to a 6-month agreement tonight?
I can't agree, I can't make that decision, unfortunately. I would have to take it to my liaison, and allow her to make that call.
I'm not going to feel comfortable, so I'm going to have to have it.
For me,
I'll get a vote on it.
okay. For me, it's so worthwhile that the fact that it's come this close to, or the cost has been this small, that if it grows at all, even if it didn't grow much, I still think it's worth the investment because of what it does for our students.
Yeah,
I think we-
with it is the late night. I just wish
Yeah.
we could get it a little later on game nights and things.
So Brian, do you have a big car? Do you have a minivan?
My wife does.
And I think promoting it to some of the coaches at the beginning of school would be important.
Sure.
Mr. Dees? Making sure that they're aware that, I mean, because that is a big deal, getting home from practice if you don't have someone to pick you up.
Bad work.
Right. So, I mean, that's a good place to start, too. You want to play the sport, we have transportation, so I think that's a good place. Okay. Thank you. All right.
Thanks, Colin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. And next we have Mr. Steve Dyer. He can help us understand why we have to raise our lunch prices. This is a...
We always do.
Fun topic.
Yes.
Thank you very much for allowing me to be here. Did everyone get this memo in your notes? So I won't reread the whole thing, but I'll give you just a quick overview that each year I have to come before you and ask for a price increase, a minimum of 10 cents per year, and that's what we've done this year for the paid student lunches. This does not affect free or reduced school meals. We had very good participation in that particular program. And I would like to say that by raising the price from $2.25 for elementary lunches and from $2.50 to $2.65, we will meet the threshold required from the National School Lunch Program. And the great news is that we're still below most other surrounding school districts. So we have a goal to reach of $2.86 when that average gets to that point. If we were at that this year, I would not be asking for an increase. But anyhow, due to cost of living increases each year, plus the 2%, we'll be going up a dime, hopefully. So with that, I ask you to approve the motion or approve the increase in school lunches. Any questions? Okay. Thank you.
And this one is an action item.
I have a motion for approval of the proposed child nutrition lunch price increase.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
Okay, under item 5D, we have Mr. Mike Moore, and which don't want to point out, but this will be his last official, unless we have a special board meeting between now and Friday, his last official presentation to the board
We could arrange that.
as athletic director.
Just trying to slide through. You
But
have,
before you start, Mr. Moore, I want to put the date that is in the, of June, that is just a placeholder. If we publish this, that date would have to be decided upon, so. There is no date, this is just a draft, so. Sorry, sir.
all right. What you have, I think, represents what was discussed at the previous meeting. I think it's a very simple RFP. What schools do you want to live stream? What sports do you want to live stream? And how frequently do you plan to live stream it? Of course, football, they would have to, the proposal would have to be you're going to do home and away, because that's just what we need to have happen. Others, you're obviously not going to travel a great distance to maybe do a baseball game. So other than that, it's asking for them to kind of tell us what we receive for granting them the rights. People that I've talked to that have live streaming, generally, the company is saying, we're going to sell advertising and give you 25% or something like that, or they'll give a flat rate that we're going to give you for live streaming. So this is sort of a generic copy using the Activities Association as kind of a skeleton. I think, Mr. Jester, I think paragraph D is the thing from the Activities Association that you wanted in there. And other than that, I think it's just kind of cut and dry. We just need to decide if this is what we want to do and when we want to send it out. And then, of course, that date on C2 would indicate when we need to have it back for board approval.
I mean, I really like it. I think we should decide on what date we want to have it back and go with it.
What's your recommendation on how soon it should be, we could get it back?
Well, for me, I think the next regular board meeting is, July 20? And they generally want to have it, anything that goes on the agenda by 8 days in advance. So it probably needs to be back in our hands by July 10th to go through those proposals and have someone selected in time to put it on the agenda for your approval.
Can we move that quicker? I mean, we'd like to get it for the people that would like to, put a proposal in it. Can we do a board meeting a little quicker, do 2 weeks and maybe 48 hours to review them? And
My concern would be with 4th of July holiday.
Yeah.
Next week is a dead week.
That was pretty quick, actually.
We're only off one day. What are you off?
Well, for a lot of school, it's a tough week. Next week is
Yeah. It's a 3-day week.
not an entirely dead week, but it's pretty close.
And the people who are interested in submitting the RFP need to have just a little bit of time. I know that time is of the essence for them to get out and sell ads, but they've also got to have time to come up with a good proposal.
When's
Well,
our
I really
first
think that
football
if we
game?
did it, our first football game's not until like the first weekend, I think, of September.
September.
And so I think if we can have something in place by the first week of August, I think that gives them three weeks to prepare for what they want to
So
do.
you feel comfortable with us doing it and having everything, because it will be a sealed bid, where will we open those?
I'm not sure, I'd be honest with you. I've not dealt with the sealed bids before, so I don't know how much notice you have to have and who all has to be
not really a
involved.
sealed
I
bid.
mean, this is what
They
this
just come
says.
in.
I'm just going by this.
Yeah.
That all proposals must be delivered to Shoemaker, and it was sealed proposals. That's exactly what it says.
Oh, that means still open, or the
Sealed
athletic
proposal.
open.
But most of those companies, if they're interested, are already out talking
I'm thinking of a sealed bid under
advertising.
when you build a building and they're opened all.
All at once.
But yes, they would give them to a sealed, but
Yeah, that's what I'm
but
talking
the athletic
about.
department would,
Sealed here, they would.
the athletic department would be the entity that
It
would
would just come to me, and basically I'm going to open them up, I'm going to make a comparison like we do when we do Coke, Pepsi,
Do a
and whoever
spreadsheet,
else,
yeah.
and do a spreadsheet to compare what they are offering and what sports they want to do and how frequently, and then bring that proposal to you first.
So if we
Decision.
change that date to the 10th of July,
That'd be. That's workable. I'll change the date, it's on my computer, I'll change the date and get it out
get it to them. Okay.
tomorrow.
How do you decide where to send it or how to get it out? How does it go out?
Well, basically, we only have two entities that
Are interested?
have shown any interest in doing it, and that would be OKSN and Magic 95 presently does Eisenhower. But they don't live stream at this point either, but they have made inroads into the possibility of doing that.
let me ask you a question, Mr. Moore.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Dees, are you taking any days between now and July 10th? No. Okay. Because we have that, when would we be able to get this out physically into the hands of, or posted? Because what it only gives us, what I'm worried about is, next week, we only have 3 working days. That would give us 4 working days next week and the 10th.
He said tomorrow.
Yeah.
You can get it out
tomorrow.
I'll change this date, and I'll hand carry one to
deliver
Magic
the two,
95,
yeah.
and I'll hand carry one to OKSN
And if
tomorrow.
it's in the paper in the morning, if anybody else is interested, they need to contact you.
Okay, my next question is, do we need a policy in place before we do RFP?
Well, the policy's later on in here, in this. I don't think we need a policy in place before we do
Not to
this.
take bids, because we're not
No.
doing anything. We're not committing.
Right.
We're asking.
So is that an action item, or can we just have
Yes.
him go?
It's an action item.
Okay.
Make a motion, we accept the RP, we'll change the date for them to be returned to July 10th, is that what it was?
Yes. I second.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me get back to my spot. All right, item 5E, we have Miss Ellis, and she has a long list. So I'm going to let her run from there. And
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
The first of the policies that we have for adoption is a change to the activity fund deposits, and it's procedural. Do you have any questions over policy CFB R3?
No, ma'am.
Second?
Hang on, she's getting her computer around up here.
Just a tiny bit.
It's going to be a long night anyway.
I don't mean we need to rush.
I'm sorry, Mr. Jester, did you make the motion?
I did, Ms. Adams.
Nyworth?
I second it.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
The second policy, DCDA authorized positions for support personnel. This complete policy has been overhauled, and the reason you don't have the old policy along with the new policy is because it would be so difficult to understand it. We tried that once, lined everything out, and everything disappeared. So we've included the new positions, or the positions that we currently have, for you. And if you have questions, I would invite Jean Hastings to help answer those questions.
Second.
Call the roll?
Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
The third is the draft policy, broadcasting live streaming of school events and activities. And it is the proposal that I brought to you at the last board meeting with the additions that you requested added, and they're in and underlined.
Things on this one. Okay, let's go back up. I should have had them underlined. What I wanted to look at. Let's see. Okay, the selection of announcer. I thought we decided that we weren't going to put that in there. Because it wants, that really wouldn't be in our hands. So our school, all the school doesn't need, it's kind of redundant. We don't need that in there.
Well, we did not want to select the announcer.
Okay, could you tell me what paragraph, please?
Yes, ma'am, it's where you have underlined the reciprocal agreements to broadcast.
Yes.
It's the next paragraph. And it's on the, next to the last line. Contracts for broadcasting will include, that's.
Delete that.
Yeah, the selection of announcer, yeah.
It just says they're going to list it, right? Isn't that what that means, that they're just going to tell us who the broadcasters will be? Is that what that means?
It looked to me like we were selecting it.
That they're
Yeah,
going to
that's just
include?
who is going to be the announcer?
It's just.
I don't think we're selecting
It's just
that.
stating who the announcer would be.
Yeah.
It's not saying we're going to select them. It's going to say that the
They're going to let us know who it
the
is.
broadcaster's going to tell us who the announcer is. I don't know if that's necessary or not, but just for clarification, I believe that's what that means.
No, so I don't read it that way, but if y'all do,
Yeah. But I'm fine with striking it.
I just think it's kind of redundant. Why would we care if we gave them a contract? We wouldn't care who their selection of announcer was, would we?
Well, we could.
If we gave them the contract, though, we're kind of unto mercy.
excuse me, this is a part of the contract. It says that that would be the contract for broadcasting will include that piece of information. It does not indicate that we are selecting.
Okay, so they're just going to tell us.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's good.
That way we could at least have some say as to if there was a problem,
If there was an issue or something.
if there was an issue.
Why would there be an issue? I mean, and now I'm confused again.
Well, I mean, what if it's someone that has, I don't know, let's just say, some sort of criminal record, not that they would hire, but we could say, no, we don't approve that selection of announcer.
But don't we put that in the contract already, that they're signing, that they're not going to have anybody that, I mean, if you go back to the contract that we're putting out for them, that's in that contract.
It didn't specify that.
I didn't see that in it.
I mean, I don't foresee it being an issue, but it does leave it open in case it gives us a little bit of control over it.
Yeah, the last paragraph talks about, if there's inappropriate behavior,
Then we have that,
Right.
we can pull it. So I mean, I just think it's a kind of redundant line and kind of wishy-washy at best.
yeah, I don't think it does any damage, any harm.
I don't think it does any good, though. I just don't think we need it.
Do vendors, what kind of paperwork or assurances do vendors have to provide the district before they can come on site, background checks, those sorts of things?
Currently, we have a clause in all contracts that indicates that if a vendor has an employee that has a criminal record with felony charges, that they are not supposed to be allowed to work or be on our property. And that's a part of our statutes, correct, Mr. Wade?
There you go. I mean, I just think we need to strike that line, or that few words. I make a motion that we strike, that we approve the whole thing, proposal or policy, striking the selection of announcer.
I'll second.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. Felter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth? Yes. Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
I was waiting for somebody to say something else, excuse me. Policy EBA and EC together, those are both required by the state that we complete each year, indicating our school hours and our school day. Policy changes have been made there. Are there any questions?
Well, wait a minute.
One at a
here.
time.
Wait a minute, I pulled myself out of the whole
School
darn
hours.
thing.
Need a separate vote, Mr. Wade.
Nope, I just need to get back in. I don't know where I'm at. How'd I get out? I hit the wrong
Do those
tab.
have to be voted on separately, Mr. Wade? Or can they be voted on together?
They can be voted on together.
They can be voted on together.
Can I
Come on, fix her.
I somehow clicked the button and clicked myself right on the agenda. You gotta go down to it.
Click on board agendas right there.
Ah, okay. Thank God. Thank you so much.
Technology.
Very
wonderful,
easy.
wonderful. Okay, so I made a
Sorry
motion
about that.
sorry about that. Approve EBA and EC.
A second.
Go back.
Call the roll.
Ms. Kleinfeld?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
The next policy, EFBCA, Internet and Other Computer Networks Acceptable Use and Internet Safety Policy. There are two small changes, one on page 6 regarding social networking.
We can open them. But I read it before.
File type's not supported.
I've read it before, too.
File type not supported.
That's weird.
I mean, I've read it.
It's the same as the others.
Yeah,
so
I know.
I mean, I've read it.
We're all getting the same message, so there's some kind of squirrely deal.
Got to be something to do with the Chromebooks.
Yeah, probably do.
Yeah, I read it on the other agenda.
I move for approval.
I'll second.
Yeah, I've read it.
Call the roll. Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
Thank you.
You're very efficient.
Thank you very much.
Under item 6, we have a report of the superintendent. Under item A is the bond and sales tax fund update. That has not changed much recently. The only things that should be, I'm not sure if it's on this agenda, it's going to be in the next agenda, is the encumbrance of just the architect fees for those last remaining projects, not Tomlinson, Lawton High, and Carriage Hills. Those were done back in April or May. I'm talking about just the last remaining ones. We talked about the last one.
And that'll be in the next agenda, you said?
We're going to encumber those in July.
In July, okay.
Open transfer applications. By law, we have to approve them every year. I recommend that we approve them unless the board has any specific questions.
So, yeah, and I've had several contacts with one parent. I understand it that for the first 2 weeks of school, they still have to attend their homeschool?
That's the policy we adopted in the spring.
Mm-hmm. Even though we know we're going to approve their transfer?
That is intra-district transfers.
Right.
When they're in the district. So, for example, one of the reasons, every year in the last few years, we've had bubbles at the beginning of the year.
Right.
We had them at Woodland Hills this year, Pioneer Park the year before. And so what we're doing is the first 10 days, let's say, I'm going to just use Pioneer Park and Woodland Hills. Let's say a student moved into Woodland Hills, but they want to transfer on an open transfer, but then they want to do an inter-district transfer to Pioneer Park. And we wait the first 10 days to make sure the numbers at Pioneer Park are. So it is what it does is it inconveniences a handful of students, it does.
Yeah.
But in the end, we have problems. When you have those bubbles in the classroom, it takes us anywhere from 3 to even more weeks to get the teachers in place. This ensures we don't have entire classrooms without teachers or with teachers of, like we had at Woodland Hills and Pioneer Park in the last 2 years. Some classrooms had 40 kids, and it took us 3 weeks once we knew the numbers to get them in there. So they do have to wait for the 10 days, according to policy.
Yeah.
So they get a little behind in their class wherever they're going.
Well, since everything, especially in elementary.
It's a high school. This is a high school.
Well, you know.
If you're in Spanish and you miss 2 weeks, you could have a problem.
And you know, that's always the risk. One of the problems that we've run into is just those overcrowding of classrooms because of this.
Oh, I understand.
We're just trying to.
And that's kind of what I tried to.
So that might be something that we could address would be, you don't see the bubbles in middle school and high school as much.
There's bubbles everywhere. They're more pronounced in the elementary because we're talking about, when you get to high school, you can move students around a little easier when they have 7 different classes. The elementaries, they're more noticeable, and elementary parents tend to, they tend to notice a lot more. When you have a second grader in a class of 40, they tend to notice a little bit.
You know, in your academic classes, 2 weeks is a long time.
Yeah.
And even, you know, band, if you're in marching band, you know, you've got 2 weeks that you're not marching and learning and then you're kind of toast for a while.
Yeah.
So I just wondered if maybe we could look at maybe a little more leniency in the upper grades.
Oh, we just approved this.
Well, that we can always go
That's a
back.
good point,
Something to look at here a little
in the
this summer.
You know, I had this issue come up, and Tom knows, with my niece that was at Eisenhower that wanted to just jump up and move, and we went through the same thing. Let's give it a little bit of time, and it worked out. You know, but I could see what y'all are saying as far as I could.
Well, yeah, as a parent, I'd be you know, stressful about it, and I'm sure the student would be too. So could you have someone maybe look at what that would impact?
And these are people that have moved from, say, Eisenhower District to MacArthur District, vice versa. That's what we're talking about.
These are people who not only have moved intra-district, they've come from outside the district, from, say, Cache or Elgin, into the district, and then once they get into the district.
That's what I thought.
Because our policy was, if you're on the east side, you automatically start at a home base of MacArthur. If you're on the west side, you automatically start at home base of Eisenhower. So if they're coming from the west, Cache, for example, they automatically start at Eisenhower and have to transfer over. So they're not only coming into the district from another district, then when they get into the district, they're wanting to go to a different school within the district. And the philosophy behind the policy essentially was, we need to make sure there's room for our students that are residents first.
But we could keep it with our own students and not do the outside of the district transfers, probably.
On the intra-district.
Yeah, see how many that would affect.
And then it goes to the home site, trying to serve those neighborhood kids first,
I
so.
understand.
It
I just
it
thought
doesn't give
it
me
wouldn't
any-
hurt us to try.
Yeah, we can look at it. We can absolutely look at it.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
So are these technically every transfer we have in our district?
These are all the open transfers for this year, the open
So
and the
if they've
ongoing.
been ongoing, they're in here?
These should cover all the transfers in the district that we're approving for the upcoming year. Yeah.
I move for approval.
A second.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
You know that can't be true.
Okay, item 6C.
No,
And this will be the,
not at all.
we actually have a PowerPoint on item 6C, but I also gave you a copy of this right here. Oh, I didn't do a good job. Zeldin told me where that was. It's my fault. I was looking for it over here. All right. So which button do I push again, Zeldin? The circle?
No, the little right arrow there.
Your other right.
Yeah, they're right.
There we go.
All right. Now it is. Now I'm not at the beginning of the, how do I get to the beginning, Zeldin? That's the end slide.
Okay, go to the next one. You're going backwards then.
Yeah, but it was, okay, fine, okay. I've got to point it at the computer. There we go.
Okay.
Thank you, Zeldin. Now I did offer to bring my pointer, and so this is not Zeldin's fault. This is my fault for not being prepared. Has anybody had any doubts? So, Zeldin did everything he needed to do. So, I don't know if board remembers, but 2 years ago, we kind of made a commitment. We talked about in the board meeting. We actually emailed it to staff and shared it with press about over the coming years, and this was 2 years ago, that we would, on a rotating basis, deal with our salary scale over the upcoming years. And I got a point. The plan was to do small steps in these 3 areas. We have 3 major areas: extra duty, support, and certified. And on a rotating basis, whenever we could. The first year we addressed extra duty. I think it was somewhere around 15%. I don't remember the exact number. That was, and then we did support, and then the next would be certified. We didn't say it would happen every year. We said we would do it whenever we possibly could on a rotating basis, because everybody, we're in a competition with Texas, everybody else, et cetera. What we did is the very first year in 2015-16, we did extra duties, and we also did adjustments in the starting teacher pay, because if you remember, we had a 0 schedule for the first 3 years, because we did have a period where the district completely suspended all salary, all our steps. And so what we did is we filled those in, with small steps, and we also that year gave stipends to teachers and support staff to make up. That way everybody got the same rough amount. Those who weren't on the 0 steps still got something, et cetera. Last year we focused on support staff, and we did across-the-board raises on support staff. Again, they were small, but they add up over an entire year with the hourly pay. And these are support staff to get hourly pay. Also, recently did the journeyman pay increase, and also last year teachers got specific teacher supply funds, which about killed our purchasing department, but they made it
And we
through.
did it more than once, so didn't we do that?
We did once through McMahon and once through our,
Yeah,
so,
McMahon.
we, again, shout out to McMahon. So that's what we did last year. This year, it would be the teacher salary scale. Before we discuss this, and I don't have an action, this is just an information item today. I wanted to show this information. I want to get a little bit of a perspective. What we've got up here are the largest districts in the state and in the area based on teacher, full-time teacher equivalent. From Oklahoma City, Yukon, those are the largest districts in the state. And as you'll see, Lawton falls kind of in the lower half of that, 800 full-time teachers. This is not on student ADM. I got the information from Oklahoma Watch, and I do have the link to the site there. And this just, guys, gives an idea. Also included Altus, Duncan, Chickasha, and Anadarko, because they're the biggest competing districts of our size, urban districts that serve a large number of students. As you can see, those are the beginning salaries and the average salaries. If you go to the Oklahoma Watch website, it actually mentions that the beginning salary is the actually 2016-17. The average salary is the prior year of 2015-16. But as you can see, Lawton is one of the bigger districts in the state. If you look at, I looked at it two different ways. The starting salaries, and that is the very first beginning day one teacher, never been in the classroom. Those are where we fall there. The highest being Norman, they start their teachers at 35, Owasso at 33, just kind of jumping down. We're at 32,641. Not in a terrible position among large districts. We fare pretty well, and then it kind of gives you an idea. We're kind of in the middle there as well. So that's the beginning salary. The average salary would be the next slide. And if you look at the average salary, when you actually average out what our teachers can expect to make on an average basis, the only ones that beat us are Owasso, Jinx, Oklahoma City. You notice we're ahead of Tulsa, Edmond, Putnam City, Moore, Mustang. We're ahead of a lot of people on that. And so I think that's something that the district should be proud of. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go back to the last one. We're ahead of Union, Mustang, Broken Arrow, Putnam City on the starting scale as well. So we're not doing terribly compared to other districts. So the average salaries. And then I also included the Comanche County comparisons based on just the schools in the county. Bishop is ahead of us, but on the average and the beginning, we're ahead of our neighbors on our beginning and average salaries. The reason I included all this, I want everybody to have a little bit of perspective where Lawton Public Schools lies among large schools like this, Moore, Norman, Oklahoma City, Midwest City. Those are the schools that are compared to us. They're the largest schools in the state, and according to this order. If you get an idea, Oklahoma City being the largest in that list, Yukon being the smallest in that list, but those are the large districts in the state. On a pay area, we hold our own with them on the beginning salary. On a statewide basis, we're far above most districts in the entire state. Most districts start at the 31,600. They are not going over and above the state average. Most districts in the state are at the state minimum, which is where Altus is at 31,600. When you actually go with average salary of what our teachers actually make, only Oklahoma City, Jenks, and Owasso beat us among those largest districts. There are other smaller districts that beat us, but as you can see, I think it's good to be ahead of Tulsa. And Norman beats us in beginning pay, but in average pay, we actually are way ahead of Norman when you talk about the average pay. And I think these things are good for perspective as we enter this discussion about what to do. Comanche County, notwithstanding, here's the challenge that I want the board to consider. We really are in the toughest teacher shortage in history, and there's really no sign of relief at the moment. I do believe we have to step up, and I want to share my intention with the board. We've been looking at the budget. I've met with Diane. We don't know the exact numbers, but I do intend before school starts to propose a step increase, a raise for teachers across the board in the salary scale, just like we did the support staff. But I just want everybody to understand, not only is it important for us, but I think we need to really look, and what I want the board to understand, we're going to look at it in a new way. It's critical, and I'm going to reference two articles there. You've actually got them. One came from David Hale in the Lawton Constitution. It was this Sunday. I don't know if we got a chance to read it. And it was referencing a situation in Oklahoma City where local municipalities are actually doing, a school district cannot do a bond to pay teacher salaries. But some of Oklahoma City is thinking about doing a sales tax. That is something the Journal Record article also talks about. And I'm not suggesting you do those. I just think there are different ways that school districts are addressing it. One of the critical points that the Journal Record makes is the state, we're just not going to be able to rely on the state to fix this. So our challenge as a district is, how do we fix this? And I think we just have to be able to make sure that we're doing all we can for our staff. If you take our support staff, and Ms. Hastings, we've looked at them periodically, our support staff do really well compared to the rest of the state. And when you consider on our 12-month support staff how many days off they get paid, the 40 or some days that we pay our support staff on the 12-month calendar, they get a considerable amount above, very, very competitive with the statewide. On our teacher, I just really think we need to consider and be ready to do the maximum possible. Even if even if maybe we put ourselves a little bit on a limb this year, I'm not worried about covering it. But whatever we do now will become more expensive the year after and the year after that. I'm willing to go out on a little bit of a limb because that's how critical it is right now for the district. If we don't pay our people, our certified people, as much as we possibly can. So I want the board to be ready for that. I'm not against any local solutions. I'd love for other options to come up, but I think we have to realize that the state did, and some of those options they're talking about are temporary. Some cities are coming up with a temporary until the state comes up with something. But I just want the board to be prepared for the fact that when we propose something this year, we have to do something for our teachers. Absolutely, no doubt. I want to do the maximum possible that we can do in a responsible manner, even if it creates just a little bit of discomfort for next year, because I think that would put the onus on us as a district to do whatever we have to this year to make sure we'll be ready. I think we've got the staff in place to have been able to do that. We've done a great job of keeping ahead of it so far. But I think our staff really just get right back down to, let's go back and look at this. I think, here's my thought. I think Lawton Public Schools need to be at or near the top on both of these. I don't care which one it is. Whether it's the starting pay or it's the average pay. That's, I think, our challenge. We need to be at or close to the top on both of these, and that's really going to be my goal. I think of large districts in the state or districts in the area. If Lawton Public Schools can get at the top of the starting salaries and the average salaries, I think that should be our goal. We're fighting for teachers all across the state. I just want the board to be prepared for the thought of us. We serve the adults that serve the kids. And these are the men and women that serve our kids on a regular basis. We've done something for support staff, we've done something for the extra duties, but what we do this year for the certified staff, I think we need to do as much as possible as we can.
When can you bring this back to us by? I mean, I'm all on board. I think we should do our very best, even if it does put us in a little bit of a.
I'm going to shoot for the top. I don't know if we can make it there. I'll be honest with you, I do not know if we can make it there. I just know that we have to try. Even if that means putting ourselves on a little bit of a limb this year.
I agree.
If we go on that limb, we all go out together. Of course, I'll be the guy left there if it goes bad, but.
All right behind you.
I just hope there's no sawing sound that I hear.
Well, and just a comment, one of the things we're fighting against is our proximity to Texas.
Absolutely.
And so even being at the top with Oklahoma.
They're commuting.
I think that may be the bare minimum we need to be shooting for.
I wholeheartedly agree. I mean, I've seen our teachers, we have fantastic teachers, and I think we should do everything we can to give them the maximum that we can give them.
Amen.
I honestly do not know if we can make the gap between us and what Norman was paying. It's only a little bit about $2,500.
Right.
I don't know if we can make that, and I don't want anybody to report that we were in it.
Times 800.
Don't give any hope. But I think we're going to do everything we can. We're going to look at some things, and if we do, I'm willing at this point, because this is so critical a step for our district and the teacher shortage is critical, I'm willing to do that. We need to be willing to make some decisions based on projected savings of things that we would have to put in place next year to be able to continue this. But I think right now we're in such a critical teacher shortage that if Lawton doesn't do something, we need to do something demonstrable for the staff we have and also for the staff that we want to recruit to the district.
I think
we can't wait on the state to fix it.
No.
So,
no.
So you think you're going to be able to bring this to us?
I want to get this, my goal is to get it to the first August board meeting.
Okay.
And have a solid proposal.
Okay.
We're going to make Diane Grinstead
Let's do it.
And me sweat a little bit. We're going to get something done. I just wanted the board's thoughts. I think we need to shoot for the top.
I agree, or exceed it if we can.
Absolutely. And it may not happen in 1 year.
Right.
But I think our goal from now on, comparing ourselves to the largest districts in the state and largest districts around us, we need to be at the top of that.
But let's try to give
not only in our county, but in the area.
Let's try to give as much as we can.
Oh, absolutely.
Much, even this year.
He's going to have to even get close to the top.
But,
I'm talking about in the first time.
so I don't know what this looks like, I don't know how far we can get, I just think that needs to be a consideration as we move forward. So I appreciate the board's input on that. Last, I have superintendent's announcement. Just 3 or 4 or 5 things. Actually, I have a long list on there. We had some LPS students working in the Wichita Mountains on a program called Working on the Wichitas. They camped at Camp Doris and they worked in the refuge, and we were out there just a couple weeks ago. Dr. Polk and Mr. Polk and my wife, we were doing a scavenger hunt for some visitors, and they were, I don't know if we had any of our students, but they were plucking an invasive weed species out of the prairie dog village. So. That's the sort of stuff I'm guessing to do. A Lawton High School alumnus and UCO picture, Holden Capps, was drafted in the 8th round to Kansas City Royals. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Our own board member, Patty Nyworth, was recently offered by Leadership Lawton with the Raymond Brown Award, and that was 2 weeks ago, a week before? Last week. Last week? So it's a big honor. I do want to, this made the paper, and I just want to put it in perspective. I want to thank the KCA organization, the Kiowa, Comanche, and Apache tribes for talking to us. It was just an initial discussion.
See that in the paper, and I know anything
We were
about it.
too. We kind
He texted us.
of hoped it would be a quiet conversation. But I just want people to understand, first of all, we're talking, these are 3 sovereign nations, and just for them to talk to us is an honor. But this is about a long-term, this is just a discussion. I don't want people to read anything into it. And I just want to thank the KCA organization for sitting down. We had Dr. Bridges and Mr. Jester with me, and we had a good conversation just about things that might be possible in the future. So they did ask us to put together a task force, which I'd like to have 2 board members on, and we'll get a couple from the city. I talked to LEDC today, and so I'll try to get that together in July. Finally, not finally, 2 more things. I'm going to, not the most important, but we do have Mr. Larry Neal here today, and on the consent agenda, which he's not on the agenda to talk, but of course I'd probably let him. I just want to point out that our insurance premium this year has dropped again by $150,000 almost. Yay. A lot of different factors in that, but I have to give most of the credit to our own Miss Ellis for the safety committee and the workers' comp. Unbelievable changes in our expenses over the last year. It dropped last year significantly, and for the drop again this year, I've just got to give Miss Ellis some kudos there.
Thank you, Miss Ellis.
She told me not to, but I told her I was going to anyway. And then finally, we did mention we had some retirements in Shoemaker. We did have Tony Hooper and Mrs. Hooper recently, but after tonight, we're going to be having Mr. Moore, of course, which Mike Moore just left. He had a duty to perform. Leah Osborne, is Leah here? No, she'll be retiring in a couple of days. We'll have, and also Mike Moliere, and I'm not sure if all the board members know Mike.
Mike who?
He handles our building. He makes sure that he's our head custodian for Shoemakers, and he'll be, Friday will be his last day.
What was his last name?
Moliere. Mike Moliere. Okay. And so we're going to miss them. But that's all the announcements I have.
Okay. All right. Do you want to go over the things we're going to remove from the consent agenda?
We have 2 items I'd like to remove from the consent agenda. One is the Cameron Stadium contract. Remove it for no action. Mr. Moore informed me that Cameron has the contract under review, but what is in here is the previous contract. And secondly, what was the other one I told you, Kathy? Magic 95. Under the ongoing, the KGMZ or KMGZ. Yes.
Also, before we approve it, I want on the PLTW extension on the recurring contract, there was no price attached to that one.
On the
PLTW extension, page 359. There was prices for the first 2, but we extended it, and we didn't have a price on that.
Which PLT? Page 359 on the recurring?
Yep.
Let me get to that page.
And I just want to make sure that we...
Well, worst case scenario, we can table it. I don't know if anything goes on.
We just need to... Yeah, recurring.
Okay, I finally found my recurring. Page 351,
359.
359.
We have 2 prices, but not 3. Oh, come on, jump.
Pete.
Got some fast internet here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, mine's
a lot
going
better. A lot better.
Okay, what initials were you saying?
It's PLTW.
Project Lead the Way.
Mhm.
Oh, Project Lead the Way.
There you go. And we've got 2 years where we have prices, but on the extension that we approved, we don't have a price on that. We did approve it, but I don't know, we just,
In there to be approved.
we talked about it.
The good thing about that is the funding comes through Career Tech,
I know, but still,
so.
I don't ever like to have things that we're approving that we don't have a price attached.
Well, if nothing else, we can table it until the July 20th, because we don't have any Project Lead the Way going on between now
Okay,
and July
we've got a
20th.
new one.
Oh, hold it. Lance is about to tell us. You go, Mr.
I told you,
Gibbs.
it's here. I knew we had it, it just needed to be written in.
Project Lead the Way, we have the elementaries are doing launch, and then the middle schools are doing Get Rid of Technology.
Right.
And those all have an incurred cost. I would say table it and let us figure out why those numbers aren't there and come back to it.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it looked like it was blanked out.
I knew that we
I'm
had,
still lost. Still don't know
that
where.
it had all been discussed.
Okay, so Project Lead the Way, Magic 95.
Page 359.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that make sense for you, Kathy?
I'm obviously in the wrong place for Project Lead the Way.
Yeah, I'm on the wrong one, too. I couldn't find it.
Yeah, on mine, there was like 362 pages on this one. I don't see it on here.
Okay, it's the ongoing. It's the ongoing.
Yeah.
It's not loading here.
Yeah, evidently.
I was in the recurring, I apologize.
I have
the wrong
a
one, too.
recurring, but maybe it was on the ongoing.
This is not the same thing.
It's not, because this is, didn't give me,
No, that's the one that took 20.
The one thing I can say, the first year is the most expensive, and after
right,
that,
and
it is
it was
cheaper.
quite a bit cheaper the second year.
Yeah.
And it was the renewal that we did that.
So, but Mr. Gibbs will find it out, we'll get it to the July board
So,
meeting.
Ms.
There we
Bentley,
go.
did you get all of those that are being pulled?
Yes,
Okay.
So let's review, so I'll make sure I know.
I'm completely out.
The Cameron Stadium, we're gonna pull that,
Magic 95.
Magic 95 and Project Lead the Way.
Okay. I'll move for the balance of the consent agenda.
Okay.
Yeah, here we go. So,
Did you get it to come
Yeah.
up finally?
yeah, see, and then it has our extension, but there was nothing with it.
Yeah. Mine wouldn't load today. I tried 3 times to read it. I
So we
finally
need a
came in and
second.
read as much as I could.
Second.
She's still talking on here.
I could have, not, I probably didn't see the little
No, I
tiny
didn't
print
believe
that
we
said
had to
Project Lead the
table
Way.
it.
Get on your magnifying glasses.
I see the blue ones that said PLTW.
So that's fine, just to
Project
vote
Lead the
on.
Way just needs to be removed. That contract, that grant agreement is removed and done.
Is that the right page? 359?
It's 359.
Yeah, okay.
543.
Yep, yep.
So we don't want any action on it?
Sorry.
Yeah,
It's an extension of a grant. It needs to stay in there because she's still spending money for this grant.
We're not getting any more. She just
Same
didn't get it all
grant.
spent.
Oh, it's an extension, but there's
no
no
more
funds
No
involved.
more, no more.
Oh, okay.
Well, we'll note on it.
That makes sense then.
Okay, well, that's actually one of the one, no more money. Yeah, let's put it back.
We can vote
Well, we already voted it, we'll just.
we can vote on that page.
We'll vote on it separately.
Well, we haven't voted on
Oh.
it, actually.
We didn't call roll yet. I'll amend my motion.
There we go.
I'll let you all.
We're going to
figure it
amend my motion. We are going to include 359 in the consent agenda. Is that okay with you, Ms. Second?
Yeah, I mean, it's,
Yes, we're
go
going to.
ahead and include, I mean, if that's all that meant, was.
Yeah.
It's, I just want to make sure that.
Kathy
we're
had to look
approving
at it.
money.
out. Thank you all for attending the board meeting, so you can help us.
All right, now.
Are you ready now, Kathy? Okay, you can call the roll.
Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
No action.
So, let's go. We need an executive?
Yes, we do tonight.
We need a motion to go to executive?
Make a motion to go into executive session.
Wait a minute, what about the permission to scrap the buses?
That was part of the consent.
That's part of the consent agenda.
Oh, okay. I always get that mixed up.
Second.
I just want to make sure.
Keep her, you're going.
Ms. Clockvelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
on item 12.
All right, we'll return to, from executive session, and I'll read the statement of executive session. The board went into executive session at 6:10 PM. Members present included Dr. Lori Bridges, President, Kent Jester, Vice President, Carla Clodfelter, Member, and Patty Nyworth, Member. Oh, yes, we sure do. Thank you, Patty.
Motion we return from executive session to open session.
Hey, I was going with you, Lord.
Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
And now I'll finish my statement. Other members present was School Attorney Chuck Wade, and Dr. Deegan was also present. Items discussed included the employing, promoting, and receiving resignation of individuals certified and support salaried personnel, so the board can return to open session and vote to take action on personnel transactions as listed on the certified and support personnel reports. Board appointed positions for 2017-18, the selection of a data center director, the selection of elementary assistant principal in training, the selection of middle school assistant principal 10-month, the selection of middle school assistant principal 12-month, the selection of high school assistant principal 10-month, and the selection of a chief financial officer. During the executive session, the board discussed these items and no other items, and no action was taken. And the board returned to open session at 6:45 p.m. This constitutes minutes of executive session.
Okay. Under item 12, we have the superintendent's personnel report, items discussed. Under item 12A, we have vote to approve the certified and support personnel reports, which I do recommend.
Second.
Call the roll.
Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
Under item 12B, a vote to approve the board-appointed positions for 2017-18.
Move for approval?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
Under item 12C, vote to approve the selection of data center director, and for this, I recommend Mr. David Irwin.
Second.
Call the roll.
Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
Under item 12D, we have vote to approve the selection of elementary assistant principal in training, and this position is for Edison Elementary, and I recommend Mr. Rodney Lee.
Move for approval?
Second.
I'm sorry, who was second?
Ms. Clodfelter.
Okay, couldn't recognize her voice. Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
Item 12E, vote to approve the selection of middle school assistant principal. This is a 10-month position, and we have no action. I recommend no action on item 12E. On item 12F, vote to approve the selection of middle school assistant principal, and this is for MacArthur Middle School, a 12-month position, and I do recommend Ms. Courtney Ferguson.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
And on item 12G, vote to approve the selection of high school assistant principal for a 10-month, and this is for Eisenhower High School, and I recommend Mr. Chad Kirchen.
Move for approval.
Second.
Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth?
Yes.
Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
Any new business?
I have no new business.
Okay. Next regular board meeting will be Thursday, July 20th, here at 5 p.m. Any need for meeting dates?
None that I see.
Okay. Any board announcements? Mr. Jester.
I make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
Who was the second?
No, Carla.
Ms. Clodfelter?
Yes.
Ms. Nyworth? Yes. Dr. Bridges?
Yes.
Mr. Jester?
Yes.
All right.
It was a long meeting.